What's up, YouTube? Welcome to the Credit Plug channel where we talk about how to build credit, how to establish relationships with banks and financial institutions, and most importantly, how to get you access to high limit credit funding. If you're new to our channel or if you've been checking out our content, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well as smash that like button. It helps our content reach a wider audience and we greatly appreciate the support. So for today's video, we have a very special topic we're going to be talking about. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about credit card stacking and double dipping. Now, some of you may have heard of credit card stacking previously. Now, I have a different interpretation and definition when I'm using that particular term, but you may have heard this when it comes to certain companies that quote unquote provide funding for people. And basically what they do is that they shotgun people's applications to different banks, usually major banks like American Express, Chase, Discover, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and they see what sticks and then they charge you a 10% back-end fee. So that's not what I refer to as credit card stacking. When I'm talking about credit card stacking, I'm talking about getting multiple credit accounts using the same inquiry. Now, this strategy doesn't necessarily work when it comes to major banks. Now, this double dipping strategy usually works best with credit unions. Now, the reason why credit unions are so special when it comes to acquiring multiple credit accounts is because certain credit unions allow you to get multiple accounts using the same inquiry within a certain time window, whether that's 30 days, 45 days, 60 days, or in some cases as long as 90 days. Now, not every credit union allows this. For example, Navy Federal does not allow double dipping, meaning that if you apply for a credit card today, you're going to get hard pulled. If you apply for a loan tomorrow, you're going to get hard pulled again. But there are certain credit unions, and I'm going to share with you a handful of them, where you can get multiple credit accounts using the same inquiry. Now, the reason why this is so effective is because you're limiting the amount of inquiries that you're acquiring and you're maximizing the number of accounts that you can get, as well as you're maintaining your approval odds, because as you get more inquiries, the chances of you getting approved greatly diminish. Now, I would say you're usually good for about 3 inquiries within a short time window. After 3 inquiries is looked at as credit seeking. Now, a couple things you want to be mindful of, right? So every institution has what's called a maximum exposure. So the maximum exposure is the most that they're willing to extend to you across all different products. So a maximum exposure might be, 30,000, 50,000, 100,000, depending on your credit risk profile, your income, and other variables. Now, one of the biggest variables is going to be the time that you've established that relationship. So if you're a new customer, usually you have this 90-day period where the most that you're going to be able to get is limited because they don't have as much data on you. They don't know what type of customer you're going to be. So it's kind of like a probationary period. And you'll see with a lot of institutions, they have this 90-day window before you're able to, get bigger and better types of accounts. So that's one thing you have to be mindful of. Now, when it comes to credit card stacking, double dipping, what you're doing is you're using one inquiry and you're able to get multiple accounts. So you can get, let's say, a credit card, a line of credit, or even a car loan using the same inquiry. Now, this works with most products except for mortgages, because mortgages are usually going to pull all 3 of your credit reports. So this really only works with like credit cards, loans, lines of credit, car loans, and things like that, not necessarily with mortgages. But now, because you're able to use the same inquiry within a certain time window, that doesn't mean that you're going to get approved for everything, because once you hit that maximum exposure, then you're not going to be able to get subsequent accounts. So let's say your maximum exposure is $30,000, but you requested, $20,000 on your credit card. That means that you have $10,000 left over for another type of product. So let's say you get the credit card for 20, you get the line of credit for 10, boom, you've reached your $30,000 max exposure. But let's say you get a credit card and you get 30,000 off break and you've already hit your maximum exposure. That means that you're not going to get approved for subsequent credit application. So that's just one thing you have to keep in mind. Even though you can use the same credit inquiry, you also are going to hit up against your maximum exposure. And sometimes the financial institution won't tell you exactly what that is. And again, if you're applying and you get denied after your initial approval, that doesn't really affect your credit whatsoever. Like I say, no harm, no foul, right? You're not getting pulled again, so it's not going to affect you. Now, when it comes to the big banks, the reason why this strategy doesn't work, again, is because they're going to be hard pulling you for every single credit application you put in. Now, with some institutions, big banks, they might allow you to get away with it within the same day. But generally speaking, if you're applying, let's say today, 3 days from now, or even a week later, you're going to get hard pull on every single credit application. This is why, in my opinion, credit unions are a lot more effective to maximize the amount of funding that you can get. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you're probably good for about 3 inquiries within a short time window per bureau. So let's say you identify 3 different credit unions that pull from Equifax. So each of those credit unions also allow you to use the same inquiry for a 30 to 60 day period. Using the same inquiry and get, let's say, a credit card and a line of credit from one credit union, and then do the same thing with the other 2. So in total, let's say you get 6 credit accounts, right? 3 credit cards, 3 lines of credit, but you've only used 3 inquiries and they're only being used from the same bureau. So in this case, Equifax, that means you could replicate the same thing with Experian and TransUnion. Now, that's assuming that the credit unions aren't pulling multiple bureaus. And in most situations, credit unions aren't going to double pull you, but large banks will double pull you in a lot of instances. So let's say you apply to those 3 credit unions that use Equifax, you use 3 that pull Experian, and you use 3 that pull TransUnion, and all of them, let's assume, allow you to double dip using the same inquiry within a certain time window. So theoretically, you can get conservatively, let's say, 18 credit accounts using about 9 inquiries, 3 from each. So this strategy is a way for you to maximize the amount of funding that you can get and using the least amount of inquiries as possible. Now, a couple of the credit unions off the top of my head from personal experience that allow this, you have NIH FCU, you could use the inquiries up to 30 days. SECU, you have First Tech up to 30 days. Langley Federal Credit Union up to 60 days. Justice Federal Credit Union up to 60 days. You have AOD FCU up to 30 days. You also have Alliant Credit Union up to 30 days. So there's a handful of these different credit unions that allow you to use the same hard pull, and this is just a very effective strategy to stack up your credit accounts. Now, again, this video is for informational purposes only. We're not telling you to go out and do this. Just keep that in mind. And also, with everything, there are prerequisites. So if you're someone with bad personal credit, then this isn't necessarily going to be something that you can just go out and do very easily. So just keep that in mind. Whenever you're applying for any type of credit, you always want to put your best foot forward. So if you do have derogatory items, I wouldn't try to apply for any type of credit accounts. I would contact Crown Credit Pro if you need help with that. I posted their information in the description of the video. That's all I wanted to cover in today's video. Until next time, y'all take it easy, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace.